Hi, everybody, and welcome to Horner's Corner. It's Thursday night once again here in the great Pacific Northwest of the US of A, and fire danger is very much on the minds, more so here in Western Washington and British Columbia on the west side than it has been in previous days because the smoke is on the move. I would like to begin by introducing who's in the panel right now. We may have someone else coming as well, at least one other person, but I would like to introduce Janine Sedola. Some of you know Janine from Vancouver Island, and she's in Nanaimo, and we're going to have some interesting photos and video contributions from Janine tonight that speak to the fire danger and concerns in Nanaimo, and probably in your area in the same ways as well. Also joining us for the very first time is Randy Small. And Randy is in Linden, Washington. That's Whatcom County, just 5 minutes south as the crow flies, or as Randy walks, I think, more importantly, than I would walk, of the Canadian border. And Randy has a fantastic Facebook page, which is Whatcom County Weather. And he's got about 20,000 likes, 20,000 followers on that page. He's not a meteorologist, but he's in constant communication with meteorologists and weather people who work on television and radio, both in the Vancouver media market, as well, very much so, the Seattle, Washington media market. Janine, Randy, welcome to Horner's Corner.
Thank you.
Mark.
It's great to have you both here. I think I would like to also explain, I was going to go into the smoke conversation, but there's one, I must address this. Christian Sasse. You've met Christian in past episodes of Horner's Corner and my other live streams and videos over the years, especially lately, because of what's going on with the White Rock Lake fire in central British Columbia in the Okanagan Basin. If you follow this channel, you know Christian has a summer home that he got just earlier this summer along Okanagan Lake, and the fire has come very close to it. And once again, there was a mandatory evacuation order this morning. Christian had already left early this morning with his wife, Rosanna, to return to his primary home in Surrey, British Columbia, just outside of Vancouver. Christian was going to join us. He still might, but he had a work appointment that came up with his headquarters out of Australia. So he's got to deal with that. But there's a good possibility that Christian will join us a bit later in this live stream. Okay, Randy, let's start with you. People are asking about the smoke. And for example, my mother today in Burlington, Washington said in a text message, Mark, is this the smoke that's coming from Okanagan Lake? Tell us where the smoke is coming from that's really come down into Western Washington state today.
Well, predominantly, I can speak to the Whatcom County and kind of the northwest part of the state, if I could say it that way, that the bulk of this smoke up here has come from through the Fraser Gorge and also over the mountains. So northeast, predominantly from the BC wildfires. And we can show you some of the maps that indicate that. We can see that on satellite as well. Now, some of the smoke further south, and I've not been watching the Seattle area very closely today, but I think some of that flow could come from the south tonight, as well as from the east. But a lot of the smoke up here is coming from the BC wildfires.
To help illustrate this point, perhaps you could share your screen. I know that you've got several online resources that you regularly consult and even share with your Facebook page. Tell us what we're seeing here, Randy.
Yeah, so this is the Canadian wildfire smoke map, and we can zoom in. And again, Whatcom County is positioned right up here. Bellingham is the largest part of Whatcom County here, and so you can see kind of where the smoke and the darker colors are, can I say, worse of the smoke. And this is kind of I think this is a forecast map, and actually I better stop this forecast because this is really messing with my mouse. Just a second here. But this is a forecast map over the next couple of days of what's going to happen. And you can kind of see in our area where it's come down through the gorge right here, Hope, and down into Chilliwack and Abbotsford. And it's overcome all of this area up here in Whatcom County. Let me see if I can slide that here a little bit more. But it's going to bog down if I mess with this forecast. But you can see that smoke coming in this direction.
So for additional perspective, and for the people who follow the channel and the story that's out of Okanagan Lake, could you maybe just kind of go to that area on the map so people can see where, for example, Christian's home is in the La Casa neighborhood, which is northwestern Okanagan Lake. Just north
Here's
of West
Okanagan
Kelowna.
Lake.
Yeah.
I'm not as familiar with where. I know he's on Okanagan Lake, but I'm
right. You're going in the right direction. He's right there in that area. If you just stop right there, he's in that area on the left side of the lake there, an area known as La Casa Cottage Resort. That's one of several neighborhoods that had, once again, a mandatory evacuation order today, affecting over 600 properties today. Many of them have, if not all of them, have recently gone through the same drill just several days ago. They were allowed to return. That allowed those that didn't get everything that they wanted out of there to get everything they wanted out of there, right? So that certainly applied to Christian. He got many of the things he needed to get out of there, got an ATV out of his garage and somewhere else. So that's all good to know. And so do we feel confident that some of the smoke that's coming into Washington, specifically Whatcom County, let's say, is coming from that fire as well?
Can I show you another map real quick?
Of course.
And 1 second here, I failed to get this ready for you. But let me, don't tell me I can't open the clipboard. I would like to show you the HRR forecast. But alas, just one. Can you got something else to discuss? 1 second. Let me reopen this and see if I can grab this link.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you want to stop sharing your screen for just a moment or not. That's up to you. Yep. Or you can continue sharing. Either way is fine. Excellent. So, what we really want to stress is it's not more of the same here, folks. It's only getting drier. It was already frighteningly dry, but the temperatures are climbing once again. It's not going to be like the end of June, where this area, Western Washington, Western British Columbia, made international news because of the extremely high temperatures. Canada in Western British Columbia, in some of the high terrain, set an all-time national record in a town that was eventually, just after setting that record, leveled by fire. So the warm temperatures, hot temperatures, we're going to be right around the 90-degree mark. Some say mid-90s in the days ahead. So it's already dry. And what we're hoping for here is, by sharing this information, it's helpful. It's perhaps even educational in some ways. And maybe along the way, we help people make wise decisions in terms of their behavior when it comes to fire concerns. And we'll delve into that very specifically when we get to some of the information Janine has to show and tell us about. Randy, you ready to go?
I am. Got it.
Run away with it.
Okay, so I want to just show you a quick couple of loops from a high resolution model. And this is going to be of the Northwest. Actually, I'll do the Northwest large here, and it just is coming out with the 0Z model. And the reason I say that, it's the latest run. It goes out 48 hours. So this is a smoke forecast map. We can look at a lot of different things here, but the ones I want to look at are the near surface, which we're very concerned about. And then we'll look at the elevated in just a second as well, the vertically. In fact, let's look at the elevated smoke first. And hold on, go back there. So let me go backwards with this. So this is a forecast map. This is not saying this is exactly for sure what's going to happen, but it's what the weather models basically are looking at, the flow of the wind plus where the fires are, and trying to forecast where the smoke is going to go. This is vertically integrated. That's elevated smoke. And I'm right up here. You can see there's smoke all over, way up in the atmosphere. This is probably 10, 15,000 feet up. Now, as I run this, and I can't quite go out 48 hours as the run is not done. It only goes 31, but watch what happens. Watch the flow. Purple's really bad. Okay, so I'm going to go backwards, and this is not near surface. We'll look at that in a second, but can you see this purple smoke from Canada? Watch where it goes, right through that gorge. And I'll forward slowly here. It's coming right into Whatcom County. Do you all see, can you see that, Mark?
Absolutely. So this is extremely bad air quality, the type of air quality that we tell people not to exert themselves and to stay indoors and wear masks, right?
Correct. And then you're absolutely right. Let me show you, this is a surface one. I'm going to go back to hour one. Hang on 1 second. And I wish this was out all the way to 48 hours. The run is not done. but this is the surface smoke. Again, the forecast is initializing bad because we have surface smoke worse than, I would say, what it's showing. So that tells you that the model isn't picking it up quite yet, as bad as it is. So if you can already see that it's bad, you can see here in Western Whatcom County where I am, it's not really, it's okay, but showing that the model's initializing okay, but it's not perfect. Eyes on the ground are going to be better. Plus the AQI, the air quality sites or index sites, are going to be better tell of how bad it is at the surface. And we can look at those in a second, but watch as we forward into tonight. I'm forwarding, watch that purple come right down from BC. This is surface smoke. It's going to get really bad in Whatcom County and Skagit in the next 24 hours. This is hour 18, 19, 20. It's still purple. Then the flow switches from the west and starts pushing it out. And that
what I noticed there, like two bowling lanes side by side coming down the chute there. Yeah, Whatcom and Skagit County on the west side of the state, but there's a big alley of that purple in that loop that you just showed us that's going straight down into central Washington and parts of far eastern Washington as well. Could you repeat that?
Because I'm going to go. Sorry, I'm going backwards.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, here's hour 1. So here I'm going to forward it now, and the hour is right here of the forecast. So hour 1, and then we'll go forward to hour 2, hour 3, and you can see that smoke coming down from Canada. Now, some of this could be the Eastern Washington fires, but this is predominantly, you can see where that flow, it's coming from right here. Okay, I'll keep going. And then you see it's coming down into Eastern Washington. I think it starts filtering over right through probably Snoqualmie Pass, or over the gaps. I'm more Whatcom County oriented than down here. You guys, Mark, you would know a little better about that. But you can see it coming in over there. And there is also a fire by east of Rainier, I believe, that's taken off. I'm forwarding more. We're almost 24 hours from it would be 5 o'clock tomorrow night. This is 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Tomorrow afternoon.
Excellent, Randy. Thank you. That's a pretty impactful visual demonstration of what's aimed at us right now. And if you didn't already know, there seems to be high confidence in this forecast, this source. So it's very likely that what Randy has just shown us is likely beginning to unfold right now, and will do so into the evening and through tomorrow for the full day, really until 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Randy, you're initializing another map. You got something else to show us?
Yes. I want to show you, this is a fire smoke map with air quality overlaid over, or reverse. We could say air quality index stations with the fire overlaid, or smoke map, if I could say it that way. You can see all the reds and purples with all that smoke. But if I start zooming in, and I'll just do Whatcom County here, you can see all the red stations, which is not a good air quality. Then right here along the water, we're still holding okay, but you can see we're Whatcom County, and that's, coming right through this gorge. There's right a gap through the mountains. This is the Fraser Gorge, which is normally responsible for our cold air in the winter. It reverses in the summer. When we get a northeast flow like this, it can warm up things like a hot Kansas east wind is kind of what I'd say, or a prairie wind. That's what it was today. And it just broke the all-time record at Bellingham Airport. Never has hit triple digits ever since, in all of the history since 1949. We finally got 100 for 5 minutes today. But it took a hot northeast wind to finally get it. We didn't even do it in June. It got to 99 in June. But and then if you back out, I was asking Janine, she's up here in the NIMO, and she's still good, but you can see what the northeast wind has done right here, right through here. But it's missing all of this. Good for them, good for up here, but not so good for us down here.
Excellent demonstration. Thank you. And for the moment, Janine's in the clear of smoke, but there are definitely some big concerns. And I'd like to show that here in just a moment. Randy, if you don't mind, for the time being, if we could have the screen back, yep. I'm going to share some video and a bit of a story here involving Janine, because she's been very busy today. So let me just check our, let's go to gallery for just a moment. So 3 of us on the camera at the same time here. Janine went out with her camera and shot some photos and some video to actually tell 2 stories today. One of those stories illustrates the danger And it may sound like a small thing. It's not usually newsworthy, but it happens. That's probably because it happens all the time, sadly. And that is people either flicking their cigarette out the window or tapping their ashes out the window. So with that in mind, Janine that's the first story, has given us some media that we're going to share with you. I've gone ahead and edited it. And then there's going to be another second story that she shot, and that's going to be about what's going on in the woods that can be a very scary scenario in terms of where people are congregating, or maybe it's even just one person by him or herself. But the bottom line is there are fires, and oftentimes it's drug related, and there are nearby buildings that could be at risk. And we've got evidence, burn scene evidence, that clearly illustrates that next to a senior center. So let's begin with the cigarette story. And Janine, I'm going to bring that video up. Let me share it here. So I think the best way to do this, let's go share screen. We're all working out of Zoom here. All right, so let's go with the cigarette story. And this is going to be, you guys see that? I haven't pressed play yet. Do you see a still frame?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play this. Janine, this is a street in Nanaimo where you live. And on the 1st of August, so just a few days ago, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, local firefighters responded to this. This is a scene that plays out over and over again. But it's extremely concerning during these dry spells. Always a concern. Tell us about this scene and tell us your thoughts on what you have here, Janine.
Well, there's a lot of spot fires popping up all over the place. People aren't being particularly, cautious about throwing their cigarette butts out the window. I'm not sure, or they're not sure exactly how this started, but this is very close to the famous Neck Point Park. And all of the trees and all of the forest in this area would be so at risk if this had gone out of hand. If you look at the back of the photo, Lindley Valley is above that. And it's a huge park, and it's rated like red for fire hazard right now. And you can see, I mean, I took that photo. People are dropping their cigarettes out of their cars, and they don't even know that behind them they've started a fire like this.
There's a tweet. Let me see if I can bring it up here. I'm going to stop sharing the video for just a moment. And if you just give me some patience, this is a bit more cumbersome switching in Zoom, but I think you guys would find this of interest. So let's bring this up. It's by one of our local traffic people, and I believe this was just yesterday's, and it's very timely. It's exactly what we're talking about here. So let's go to Zoom, and I think I can bring that up here. Okay, hopefully you see this. So this is from Tracy Taylor Traffic. Randy probably knows the name in the account. Yep. And this is just yesterday. She says, I've covered at least 6 brush fires today. People, dry conditions, all caps, equals bad news. If you are having car issues, pull off the road. Don't pull off into the grass. Keep the butts in the car. Please don't toss them out. And that is the appeal there, and that tweet. And that is the appeal here in this live stream. And again, if nothing else, if this just gets one person to pause and not do just that, flick the cigarette out the window or tap the ash out the window, then this will have been a live stream that has been worth the time and energy we've put into it. So just wanted to share that. Now, let's go back. I want to bring that another video up to help illustrate another concern. All right. So Janine went out today again into this wooded area in Nanaimo. And Janine, toward the end of this video, which in total time is about just under 2 minutes, the last 25 seconds or so, we're going to hear from a gentleman. And we'll stop talking so we can hear him. He's been an activist in this area trying to stop what's going on because of the safety concerns. But I'll go ahead and press play. And you tell us what we have here, Janine. Janine? Did we lose her?
She's muted.
This is a area that's right in the middle of a suburban area. There's a senior citizens home right next door. There's a library. There's ICBC across the road, and the transit system is right across the road. So there's a nice vacant piece of property, and people are going in there and doing drugs and lighting these fires. You know, whether they're accidental or not, no one knows, but obviously the city has responded and put these out. But you can see drug paraphernalia. There's a needle right there in the photograph. And there's a fellow that goes in and cleans up every day and picks up the needles and tries to fix what he can. But this keeps going on, and one of these days, one of these fires is going to get out of hand.
That is oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to be another, Kelowna.
Well, here's what that gentleman had to say when you spoke to him, and he agreed to speak with you on camera today.
The problem with all this is, where do you start? Because nobody wants to take, the ball and run with it. Every addict's different. You can't help every addict the same way. It's a political nightmare, and nobody just wants to touch it. Nobody wants to be held responsible for a mistake. Mistakes happen. Let's do something, because this isn't working.
Thank you, Janine, for going out and showing us that. There are a lot of people who can relate to this. Here, certainly in the greater Seattle area, these type of camps are very common. Camps or just hangouts where people come together for oftentimes this type of activity, or even homeless tents, communities coming together, for shelter, for shade. So it is very much a concern. You, Janine, have you're part of your background and what you do. You work as a realtor, but you work with emergency group, an emergency management type group. You're a volunteer. I know you've got the ham radio and you communicate with people throughout Vancouver Island. Is there a lot of chatter right now amongst that organization that you volunteer with about the fire concerns?
Well, we certainly were on standby when there was a forest fire not too far away from here. Everybody was quite worried about it, but they did get it managed. And now there's one in Duncan, and that one's out of control. But, it's quite frightening that, people are being careless in the bush.
Yeah, I want to take a moment to read some of the chat that's in the YouTube live chat right now. Guy Cochran says, "Thanks for the smoke update, guys. Greetings from Snohomish County," which is where I'm located. I want to give a shout out to Guy. He's the owner of the DVE store, and he's provided us with the webinar that allows us to not only bring this to you from Zoom to YouTube, but also through 1080p. So I'm really, really appreciative of that. Guy Cochran, thank you so much. And he's one of the regulars on a YouTube channel called Office Hours, where a bunch of people, men and women, come together and share about live streaming technology, and are really doing some really exciting things and have offshoot programs like this one. That's partly what inspired me to do this, Horner's Corner. So a little bit of background for you there. Now, Tom is on Whidbey Island, Washington, which is about 10 miles west of where I'm sitting at this moment. And he says it's very hazy on Whidbey Island, and he says it's muggy. But Tom, apparently we haven't seen anything compared to what's coming down the pike, and we'll be here coming overnight and into tomorrow. Right, Randy? Randy may be muted.
As best as I can see, it's not going to be good for the next 24 hours as this smoke continues to come down.
There's Randy, would you tell us about your Facebook page for the people who I mentioned it earlier who may not have heard about it? It's a great page. And as I mentioned, you have like 20,000 followers, another 20,000 likes. Please tell us about it and what can people expect to find there?
Is it okay if I share the screen and show it? It might be the best visual.
Yeah, I was just going to try and bring it up myself, but you've got, yeah, go ahead and take the wheel, my friend.
I just happen to have a link right on my bookmarks.
Imagine that.
So this is Whatcom County weather, and I am on a wireless laptop out here in my office. But this is the homepage that you would see when you pull it up. And I'll just go through a few things that I did today to try to help people out. And the top of the page here, I was just inundated with questions. So I just quick pinned a post to the top today where I could answer them. And so just air quality maps. Everybody wants to know, where can I find my air quality? People kept asking, how bad is it? Is it going to get worse? When is the northeast wind going to stop? Because we had 25 mile an hour gusts today. And then I wrote, and it has since backed off here, but I wrote that it was going to back off this afternoon, early evening. And then when is the smoke going to clear? That's the number one question. When is it going to clear? So I talked about that. Put up one of these maps. And then I actually just shared while you were talking a minute ago, I just shared that I was on here live. So there's always publicity that I'd like to do on here. This is the high temperatures for the day in Whatcom County. So Bellingham, which is right here, the airport, hit 100 for the first time ever in its history. And then Sumas, and I don't know if, looking across to Abbotsford, if this is, 100% accurate, but we got 107, it's probably a little high, 102, 103, kind of in this area, which is probably much hotter than most of the western side of Washington, maybe even Portland. This might have been hotter than Portland, Oregon today. I'd have to look that up for sure. But that's all because those outflow winds came down here. Let me back out of here a second. Then I also have just constantly giving data about the different stations around here. This was about the breaking the record for Bellingham. So just air quality information for one of the air qualities in Bellingham. When Bellingham switched wind direction, in 5 minutes, it dropped 8 degrees. And I explained all that. And you can see that right here. It went from 99 at 2:40 p.m. and then it went to 91 at 2:50 p.m. And that was when the wind switched from north to west, or north to west northwest. So as soon as that wind switched at the airport, the temps dropped. So that shows you how hot that downsloping wind was today. So those are just some of the things. And then I also have my photography that I put on here, but I posted a ton of information today. And it's been a blast, even though it's been a sad day. So far, thankfully, no new fires in Whatcom County that I've heard, with the humidity being so low and red flag warning we were under, which I think has since expired. I'm hoping there's been no new fires up in BC, but boy, with the humidity so low and that east wind, who knows, because anything will spark those fires, which happened Labor Day last year.
Well, I hope people who weren't acquainted with your page find it, because there are so many great resources and it's very educational. It helps answers questions, the questions that a lot of people are asking. I mentioned earlier about the end of June when we had that record 3-day streak of temperatures. In fact, in British Columbia, there were a lot of people I know, their death rate, at the coroner's office was far greater, multiple times than normal for this time of year, and it was attributed in large part to the heat. So this isn't, Randy does a weather thing and it's fun and games. This is serious information. This is interesting. It's educational. It answers questions about whether there's going to be smoke and how much smoke. But this is fundamentally important for a person's well-being, oftentimes, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I hit it hard in June. I was up early every morning, but just in the forecast leading up to it, when we could see that we were going to have triple digits in most of the area here, I just kept telling people as much information. And I let people comment who may have lived in other areas that were hot, and what do they do? Of course, we don't have a lot of air conditioning here. So Seattle's, I think, for the largest city, the lowest per capita air conditioned city in the US. And so and in Vancouver too, same, in the suburbs of Vancouver, Surrey, Delta, Abbotsford, all those large suburbs. It's just, we're not used to this heat, and people kind of make fun of us, down in the South and back in the Midwest, they're like laughing at us, but they have air conditioning. They're used to this. And this was a once in I hope, a lifetime thing in June. And so I did everything I could. I literally sat in this chair for hours, typing information to get the message out. And as far as I know, I haven't checked the Department of Health stats recently, but a few weeks ago, we had 1 fatality in this county out of 250,000 people. There's possible they missed some, and there could have been a couple more. But I am firmly believe that my work in this at least got the word out. And I think that's the difference that I can do on a weather page that's very personable in a localized area can do than the media. The media, and nothing against the media, but what the media are doing is a large area, or even the National Weather Service or Environment Canada, they're broadcasting to a large area. Here, Whatcom County Weather is interacting on a constant basis with the people that are on the ground. And I'm, by the way, feeding information to the National Weather Service. I was today, a ton of it. I was up at 5:30 and I could see smoke heading our way. I knew it was going to be not a good setup. Once I got up this morning, shooting pictures and video of it. So I think it helps to have these types of pages where we can actually work together. We partner. I feel like I'm a partner with the National Weather Service and the meteorologists to get the word out. And in some ways better than even what they can do because they're so global, if I could say it that way.
Well, I know your name and your work, your photography, in terms of the beautiful sunsets in particular, are often on local newscasts, and I hear your name called out regularly from Seattle TV stations. So you do great work. In fact, in the future Horner's Corner, I'd love to have you back on again. We can talk about your photography and your annual calendar, and I know your followers on Facebook and your fans would appreciate that as well. And people who don't know about it, I think would find it of interest. So we'll do that on another time of your game. What I'd like to do, Randy, you've been sharing some excellent maps, and I'd like to share something with you here. It looks like I already have it up. That's great. You see this a map on your screen? I hope you do.
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is showing us hotspots, and that's what all these red spots. So this, before I explain a bit more, the reason I'm showing this is because I've been doing these videos with the photography of my friend Christian Sasse, showing what's been going on at the White Rock Lake wildfire in British Columbia along the northwestern shores of Okanagan Lake. And someone asked in the comments of one of those videos just yesterday, can they use infrared to see where the flames are, since that smoke is so thick at times that you can't see if there are any flames through all of that? And the answer is a definite yes. And there are all sorts of applications. This map does just that. So below it says a hotspot is a satellite image pixel with high infrared intensity, indicating a heat source. Hotspots from known industrial sources are removed. The remaining hotspots represent vegetation fires, which can be in a forest, grass, cropland, or logging debris. And it says a hotspot may represent one fire or one of several hotspots representing a larger fire. So let's zoom in and take a look at all these hotspots through thick smoke. See, I'm very interested in Okanagan Lake in that area over there, and just look at these clusters of all this red. Just yesterday afternoon and early evening, you couldn't see very far in West Kelowna, north of West Kelowna, along the western shores of Okanagan Lake. The smoke did clear a bit later in the evening, but it was a bit of a reprieve. But for quite some time, you couldn't see if there were flames up there. Even with light-sensitive camera equipment and long exposures, it was difficult to see any flames. So I just thought I'd share that. In addition to that, I Googled it, and there are other ways that infrared is used. Thermal imaging, for example, aircraft can be affixed, have a camera beneath them that's good at imaging that, and they fly over the fires. And I found one article about drones that are being used by firefighting agencies. This is an instance where they want the drone in the air because they can use infrared to locate those hot spots that you can't see with the naked eye as well. This was something I was hoping to address with Christian Sasse tonight too, because he is a scientist and a physicist, and he knows about light sensitivity very well. But perhaps we can do that in a future stream. But just wanted to share that while I could right now because of the timeliness of the question that was asked about the YouTube video. And Randy, again, this is the type of stuff that's of direct interest to you. I don't know if you've ever showed a map like that.
I'm trying to pull up some more links over here. Somebody just gave me a map that it isn't quite like that, but it's that same idea. And they're actually mapping these wildfires, and you can draw arrows. So from the fire to like the next town, and you can basically say it's 5 miles from this town and the direction of the flow is this way. And you can actually warn people on the ground. Again, not as an official. I'm not an official. I don't consider myself a government official, but I have friends that are doing that in Oregon, and they did it last year with the Labor Day fires. They were on the Facebook page disseminating that information to help. So it is actually valuable if you know how to use it.
Did you want to try and pull up one of those links? Is that what you wanted to do at this moment?
Well, yeah, I would like to, except just keep going. I'm trying to find another link.
You know what? Randy, in a way, is a semi-mad scientist of sorts, I think, because he got this request to be on this program for tonight, literally maybe 45 minutes prior to us beginning the live stream. And it was a result of, although I've been looking at having Randy on as a guest when his schedule was a little bit more calm. But when my wife said to me on the night of Horner's Corner, about 45 minutes before the broadcast tonight, oh, check out this Randy Small. She sent me the tweet, and then Randy's pretty busy sharing what's going on with the smoke, and people are tuning in on Facebook and Twitter to learn more. So I thought, well, let's see if there's a chance he can come on. So he's using, I think, more than one device to go live. So he made it happen, and he's able to share his screen. And I want you to know, Randy, I really appreciate it. You give me a heads up when you're ready, but I'm just going to read a few more comments out of the YouTube live chat. Let's see here. We had the report from Tom on Whidbey Island that it's very hazy and muggy. We mentioned that. Tech2 says, wow, just amazing. And so amazing how people keep doing this, with a sad crying face emoji. No doubt a reference to the people flicking out the cigarettes or tapping the ash of their cigarette out the window. And Tom on Whidbey Island says he's just added Whatcom County weather, the page on his Facebook with the peace sign emoji. Solex Space X says, how is Vernon doing? Is White Rock contained? Well, second question first. The White Rock Lake wildfire is not contained. I don't know if there's even any containment attached to it. I'm not an official, and I haven't checked what the official word is, but it's still very much a wildfire in the purest meaning of the word. It's certainly not contained. That's the simple answer right now. It is up on the ridges and the hillsides above some beach communities. And one of them, which is just south of it, La Casa, is one of several that were evacuated mid to late morning. I think it posted on the official agency page around 11:45 this morning that La Casa and several other communities were evacuated, over 600 properties in all, very similar to another mandatory ordered evacuation with many of those same properties several days earlier. In between, they were allowed to return. But once again, the fire is creeping closer and getting stronger in places. And there's a lot of concern about those communities. So a mandatory order of evacuation. I wanted to share that, last night, my friend Christian Sasse was really hoping to shoot the flames at night. Again, the smoke was thick, but there was that periodic bit of clearing. And he was out walking with his wife, Rosanna, in the La Casa neighborhood community. And he looked to the north, and they were startled because all at once, a ridge seemed to be furiously ablaze. And right there and then, his wife said, I want to go home tonight, not tomorrow morning, and darted back home. And that was going to be the plan. Christian went back to get his camera gear and came back. And lo and behold, no flames were visible at that very same space. So what he had been hearing and talking to others who saw it, because several people did, it may have been a spot fire, something that, happened in advance, a momentary thing, either that, which is most likely, as opposed to perhaps even just disappearing within the smoke. But the feeling was that was a spot fire. And Christian said it was like as if a tree just exploded. So those threats, they're out there, and they're all over those ridges and hillsides above that large area above the northwest side of Okanagan Lake. Vernon, no. It kind of depends on where you consider the city limit of Vernon. There's the official one, of course, but I noticed that even as you wrap around the northwest and start heading south, some of that area can be considered by some as Vernon. That actually gets you closer to the fire. But Vernon proper, just above the north end of the lake and on to the east side where the concentration of population is, no, it's not very close to them, at least at last look earlier today. And I kind of doubt it's getting very close to Vernon proper just yet. If anybody knows differently, feel free to comment in the YouTube live chat, or if you're on Zoom, to put the chat here. Go ahead, Janine.
I was watching the British Columbia page today, and they said that it has actually jumped a barrier, and it said that there's 4,592 homes on mandatory evacuation in British Columbia, and also there are 29,170 properties on alert for evacuation. And if you want to know this information, you look at emergencyinfobc.ca, and there's also, if you are evacuated, you can go on ess.gov.bc.ca.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Janine, I think a good way to handle this right now, let me go ahead and put those website addresses for the moment in the YouTube live chat. Could you repeat each of them, please?
Okay, it's ess.gov.bc.ca.
That's one of them, right?
That's one of them. Yeah,
okay.
That's for emergency services. So if you are being evacuated, that will give you instructions on what to do. And there is also emergency info BC.
Just a second. Emergency
info.
Mm-hmm.
.bc.ca.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's 28 states of local emergencies in British Columbia right now. If you do see a wildfire on your phone, what you do is you go star 5555, and if you see someone throwing a cigarette butt out of their car, you can dial that same number and they want to hear about it, star 5555. And if you say the license plate number, and if there's someone else in your car and it's safe, take a photo of them smoking and having it thrown out the window, and they will be dealt with. So they really want to hear that, and people don't know that they can report those incidents.
Janine, a moment ago you said the fire jumped, I think you said jumped the road? I'm not sure.
it jumped a barrier, it said. So I was listening to the under BC government.
Was that specifically the White Rock Lake fire?
Yeah, that's what it said. It jumped a barrier, whatever that means. So if you listen to that site, the BC government just released some information on that, and they said that you can look, there's a wildfire app that you can put on your phone, and I looked on that and I couldn't find the particular fire, but if anybody else has a different app that you can look, let us know. But there is a BC wildfire app, and I do have it on my phone. And there's also Fire Smoke BC, and you can see the map of the smoke that you were just showing, Randy.
Tell you what, you're compelling me to share another screen. And let's see, let's put this in speaker view. Okay, good. So this is a site, slrd.bc.ca. So for the folks in the US who don't know, oftentimes Canadian websites will end in .ca, government websites especially. So this is S as in Sam, LRD.bc.ca. And you can see evacuation orders listed here as well. This is one of several resources online from official channels that are giving you the evacuation and other fire-related information on their website. So I think what we'll do, perhaps after the live stream, is we'll ultimately come up with a collection of the helpful links that have been discussed in this live stream, and I'll put them in the description on YouTube beneath the video. Some people don't see that description and they get frustrated. I thought he was going to put that information there. Well, YouTube in recent months or the past year or so has made it tricky for you to go into that description, possibly find links that will take you off of YouTube. They don't like that. But if you, on a mobile device, just tap beneath the video, there's like a little down arrow, and it will reveal the text in the description of the video, and we'll have links there. We'll have links there that'll be added to this evening. So just to help in case you're not getting all this information just yet and you would like to have it. Also, again, Randy's Facebook page, if you just go to facebook.com and put in Whatcom County weather, and Whatcom is WHATCOM. Whatcom County weather. Randy's an excellent source. And when you follow Whatcom County, you're really getting a lot of information about what's going on in British Columbia as well, because as Randy mentioned, with the Fraser River Valley, so much of the Whatcom County, Washington weather is impacted by what's going on just to the north, isn't it, Randy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am watching the British Columbia weather very closely, constantly. I will say this, the summer times used to be more boring, could I say?
Yeah.
And obviously 2015 was really hot. I don't want to repeat 2015, but then smoke in 17, 18 and Labor Day weekend with the freak northeast windstorm last year that created the Oregon and California fires that went absolutely crazy. And I can't remember BC as well, I believe. But all of a sudden, like the summer weather around here with the heat wave in June and now this, it's like, I thought I could have some time off and I could just post a few things. But this summer, it's kind of like a fall windstorm time. I mean, for the amount I'm posting, or a snowstorm. And so it's like, I hope I can sleep here when it rains for a week straight, maybe coming up someday soon.
It seems like we have a fifth season within the summer season now. That's smoke season. It's becoming so regular. And of course, fires are the reason we have that. And these fires, man, this has been such a severe summer, certainly in British Columbia, right? Go ahead, Randy. I can see your drawn breath.
Can I show you this map? I got it up real quick, and I don't know how much time I have.
Yeah, absolutely. By all means.
So here is and I will caveat this. For instance, these red dots down here are the refineries in Whatcom County. So it's some heat coming off of that. But you can see the fires in BC here and the heat signatures and things. This is just a sad setup. Look at this. And then when you start zooming in, and you were talking about Vernon, you can start seeing this. This is the last 24 hours. And I'm not an expert on this site, but up here is 24 hours. This doesn't, if we go back a week, or today, that would change things. But you can see and this is crazy to me. I mean, it's sad. Maybe that's a better word, not crazy. I'm sorry, that wasn't the right word. Sad how much of this is going on. And if you can, people who run this.
Can you hold that right there, Randy? I'm sorry, but sorry to interrupt. I'll let you finish that point. But if you hold that right there, I just didn't want you to lose it. So Killiney Beach, there is a community there and a lot of concern. And you can see the hotspots are right up against Killiney Beach. And just to the north of that, where the land protrudes to a point, if you just go a little bit to the north, right there. Okay, that is Fintry, I believe. There's an area, and Fintry is where one of the local fire stations is, but it actually, I think, uses a Vernon address when you look it up. But these are there's a nice, that's where the helicopters right there near the beach in a preserve area are refueling. And you can see the fires just up the hillside. And that Killiney Beach, that I think, is different than 24 hours ago. And you can see the main road, which is West Side Road. That is the road. Janine, I know you've talked about having backup plans for when you need to evacuate. Know where those local side roads are? They're closed in this area. You need West Side Road if you're going to get out. And up north of Kilney Beach at Fintry, which we were just looking at, is where there's been a roadblock. You couldn't go any further north than that on that West Side Road. So where we see all this red now, down on that lifeline, which is West Side Road, this is why we're seeing the evacuations. Now we're seeing it really dramatically in the red. Go ahead and zoom out just a bit. Excellent. I'm glad you asked if you could share this, Randy. Just look at this. So that is amazing. And this is a fire that started back on July 13th, went through an area called Monty Lake. There are dramatic photos that were posted where people were showing their home with the smoke and flames approaching, and then they evacuated and ran and drove quickly to get away. Those homes are gone. And that was at Monty Lake, which is on Highway 97. I think they call it, I'm not familiar, I've not been there, but I think they call it the Okanagan Highway. And it's the road from Vernon to Kamloops. And I was looking at the air quality at Kamloops Lake. So that would be north and west of this location. If you follow Highway 97 from Vernon, diagonally going to the northwest, you will come to Kamloops Lake. It's a large lake. You can't miss it. And the air quality there was all purple, Randy. And when it was 200 and something on this one app that I use, it was 500 at Kamloops Lake. It was the worst on the entire Western BC and Washington, Oregon that I could find. So I hope this provides some context and is useful information. I know for me, it was helpful to see where that fire is burning in relationship to West Side Road and those local communities. Thank you very much, Randy.
I played with this map too much and lost the Canadian fires here, so I got to figure out how to put them back. But I'll stop my sharing.
Okay, very good. We should probably wrap it up. Some closing thoughts, Janine. I know we didn't go as long about the cigarette concern, but it's great that you did that videography as well as photography, so that we can talk about that. Make it a reminder in case there's anybody out there who's going to have a cigarette behind the wheel. And man, tap that ash in an ashtray inside your vehicle. Put that butt there when you're done with it. We would all so greatly appreciate it. I was a news reporter for 20 years in television. I was in New Mexico, Arizona, Wisconsin, Eastern Washington. And I can tell you that there are more fires than I can remember that started alongside a road. And it's oftentimes a cigarette butt or sparks. And, you know, most of the time they're put out. But sometimes they become huge. Sometimes they destroy buildings. Sometimes they kill people. So it is important, that little instant, that one quick decision that you make, if you can get out of the habit and just put yourself in your wise mind, your frontal cortex part of your brain, and just say, hey, that's really not a good idea. I could be doing something that's life-changing right now by extinguishing that in my car ashtray. You've made a great decision, and we all appreciate you for it. So, Janine, between that issue and the activity in the woods near the senior center where there's been a fire. By the way, I don't think he ever said, was that fire in the woods that's apparently linked to drug activity, was that this year?
Yeah, it was very recent. Yeah, it was, I think it happened last week or so.
Okay, all in Nanaimo, your two stories. Any closing thoughts, Janine?
Yes, plan your evacuation route, have a grab and go bag. Upload your insurance papers to the cloud, just scan them in, have them there, walk through your house with a video camera so you know and you can prove what you have, and find an evacuation plan, and that if you have to go somewhere, find out where you're going to stay, plan with friends. You're welcome here, Mark and Randy. Just drive on across the border.
You often talk about having a full tank of gas and water.
That's right. A lot of people will park their car facing out of their driveway, so you don't have to waste time twisting it around. If you don't have gas and you're in a gridlock, you're not going to be happy. Always have water in your car. Always have food in your car. Always have a flashlight. It would be good to have an N95 mask too for that smoke. And, you just have to think that, things can go bad quickly in this kind of situation. Right now it's tinder dry. You know, the trees are falling down around me in my area, and you can see as soon as they fall over, they still have the branches, they still have the leaves that are green, but the whole trunk is like powder inside. It's not even kindling, it's disintegrated, it's so dry. So that'll go up so quickly.
You've just reminded me of this, what was happening at Christian's place at the La Casa Cottage Resort along Okanagan Lake early last evening. He was live with me on this channel, and he was telling me ash, it was raining ash.
Yeah.
And he'd been telling me that was going on for even prior to us going live. He was telling me about it. But when he showed us, you know, I'm thinking ash. I've covered a lot of wildfires. I'm thinking of white. There's Christian.
Oh, great. There
So
you
Christian's
are.
just pulled away from his meeting with people in Australia, and
Yeah,
he's here
sorry
now.
about that. Sorry.
No worries. Hey, that takes the priority. We were going to wrap up, but when you sent me the message on Voxer just now that you're available, come on in. And so what a nice surprise. We'll go a bit longer, obviously. I don't want to keep Janine and Randy. If you need to go, by all means. Randy, are you good to hang on for a bit?
I'm good to hang on for a little bit more. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Christian, I was just explaining the situation where you had the ash, and it actually looked like pine needles landing on your patio.
Oh,
your
there
deck.
you are. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, it looked like pine needles. They were dark pine needles or Douglas fir needles. I mean, it was bizarre. It wasn't what I expected when you said raining ash. The trees were cooking. They were hot. The stuff was coming off the branches and floating in the smoke. And tell us about your last 12 hours, Christian.
Oh gosh, you know, they were smoky. That's maybe a good summary. I was just surprised in the afternoon, although it was smoky. I was quite relaxed because, you know, we went down to the water, which is the Okanagan, Lake Okanagan, and we just had a look around, and we just saw the usual smoke, and it looked like everything was under control. And then we drove back to you know, up to the cottage, which lies quite high. Rosanna, my wife, just points and says, "Look at that! That's a big fire there." And I said, "Where?" And then she pointed up there. And I thought, my goodness, and it was like a huge flare coming up. And then I thought, wow, that seems close. You know, that was, so we're talking about Killarney Beach, which is north of La Casa, and that's where at the moment all the fire is happening, right?
I'll tell you what, Christian, I'd like you to continue, but Randy, if you wouldn't mind, could you share that map again so Christian can see what you were just showing with us? Okay. Christian, wait till you see where the fire is in relation to Killarney Beach, in relationship to Fintry, the places like Fintry where you were just recently. Go ahead, Randy, bring that up.
Oh, I see.
Hold on one second. I closed it down. 1 second.
That's okay.
Sure.
That's okay. So Christian, in fact, didn't your wife, Rosanna, say we're going home tonight?
Yes. Directly after that, she says she's had it. Okay. This was so scary. And I just thought, my goodness, what is this? And so I wanted to get my camera gear, but by the time I fetched it, it was complete darkness, right? And then I took the car and went to a spot in Fintry. At that time, it wasn't closed. I put my camera, and I could barely see something very faint thermal. And because I'm an astrophotographer, I know how to do long exposures and get really get things out of, you know, smoke and so on. And I managed to get quite, you know, you could really see a lot of trees glowing. It was actually quite scary what I saw. And that's where we made the decision, you know, that what's going on behind there is not good. And plus the wind changes. Okay.
The wind changes is something that Randy was speaking about in depth. So Randy Small, Christian, is a very good weather enthusiast.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad.
Yeah, he's in Whatcom County. He's just across the border from you.
Okay.
He's in Linden, probably just south of David Hancock's place. He's a 5-minute walk from the border. So
really?
Yes.
Great.
And he's got about 20,000 people who follow him, his channel, Whatcom County Weather. And he's very familiar with the weather from BC into Whatcom County, specifically as it comes through the Fraser River Valley.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That's fantastic. Yes. Good.
And he's been really good in this first time joining us. on Horner's Corner or on any of my live streams, and he's just been phenomenal. He's got his Facebook page, shared the link there, and
Wow,
he's been
nice.
sharing all sorts of maps and resources, helping us understand what's going on. And Christian, Randy was showing us earlier that there is some severely bad smoke aimed at us right now that's going to come through into your area as
I
well.
saw that.
Western Washington.
News,
yeah, it's all purple. It's all purple on the map. That's
okay,
coming
so no matter
overnight.
where we go, we can't escape.
Yeah, here we go again. So Randy, do you have that map? Do you want to tell us about it?
Oh, I would love to, but at last, I have it on my other computer, but it's failing me over here. I'll share my screen as soon as I get it up here. Oh, I got it.
Okay, fantastic.
Now I just got to go back to sharing screen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
This is excellent. So go take it away, Randy.
Well, Christian's going to know a lot better where he is here.
I see this area. I know this area very well. I see it. Yes.
I think. Let's see. I have to turn on the roads. I think.
Yes.
Am I close?
Killiney Beach. That's exactly very, very close to where our summer cottage is. Exactly. You're spot on. Wow.
And Janine was saying that there are reports that the fire has. Janine, could you repeat that information about it jumping a barrier or a line, and how many homes are potentially impacted?
Well, I watched the BC government website. They just did a broadcast this afternoon. They said that that particular fire has, jumped. I don't know if they said barrier, or they made a reference that it did something that it shouldn't have, but they did say that there's 29,170 properties on alert in British Columbia, not just there, but everywhere. And I think there's 4,592 ordered, to evacuate. So you're not the only one, Christian.
No, absolutely not. I completely understand that. The irony is we were going to offer our cottage to another evacuee. You can't go back, and now you can't take it. It's just crazy, so.
Randy, could you go north to that area that juts out that we talked about earlier? Just go north along the water, and we'll come to Fentry. It's that point that sticks out if you keep scrolling north.
Okay, hey, Mark, can I just make mention? I'm not, again, an expert of this specific website, but it appears to me time sense detection is color coded. So we got orange is 12 in the last 12 to 24 hours, 6 to 12 is red, and then dark red is less than 6. I'm assuming that is some type of indication of growth, but I don't know that officially. But these colors mean something because this is only in the last 24 hours. Yeah, something with it in the last heat signatures, maybe. Again, I wish I'm not an expert. I wish I wasn't even looking at this map, that we could have to even discuss this, of course, but I do have a lot to learn on this kind of map. Here's further north.
Yeah, right there. So right there, the West Side Road, the fire's burning, or has been, or is burning right up near it.
Do we have any knowledge now of what the wind direction is at the moment? I'm just curious because I haven't followed this in the last hours.
Randy?
Why did I close all my links down? Just a second here.
Randy was talking about a big wind shift event today. Yeah, he also said Bellingham he said Bellingham hit a record today too.
Really?
Yep. 100 degrees, first time ever at the airport in history. If I could just get the reporting stations to show up on here, it's slow going, but then that should show me the wind direction. Give me another second or two here. Let's see if I can get them up.
In the meantime, gosh, I'll see, Mark, if I can get my picture up on my.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Screen. Just give me a second. I'm sorry, I'm so ill prepared because I really wanted to.
Christian, you have a regular job. We appreciate you just making time, as I do for Janine with you, and certainly Randy. I know we're all busy with our jobs and our families, so this is really nice of you to carve some time out for this conversation tonight.
I mean, just at a quick glance here, the wind. I'm not familiar at all with this area, so I apologize. I'm not seeing a whole lot of, this is 2 mile an hour gusts. It seems like it has maybe died down some, but
good. Good.
But I don't want to. We got some north wind up here at 9, but I'm not seeing now. I don't know if all these reporting stations have anemometers, so that could be another issue. Let me take a look. Am I close here, Christian?
Yes, you're very
Oh, you're
close.
right there.
very
You're
close.
there.
Okay, let me
yeah.
look at this. Let me look at the station real quick. Let me see what it reports here. So yeah, it's had some gusts earlier, but it seems like it's reporting pretty calm in the
Good.
latest 7:58 reporting. But that's just one station. It's Vernon Station here. It says.
Yeah, that's important. Vernon is very close, so that's very relevant. Relevant, yes. Mm-hmm.
Not seeing a whole lot of other stations over on that west side of the lake. We got one way further down here, but that's about the best. Without looking into more details, that's what I'm pulling up real quick here.
Okay.
Christian, are you hearing from any of your neighbors that live over there? I know in past days, periodically you would hear something. People are probably just scrambling right now and hunkering down elsewhere.
Yeah, I have a weather expert in Vernon actually, and I should ask him. I'm always. Let me just send him a quick message. Maybe he can give me an update. He is he does also weather as a hobby, but he's monitoring the fire. Of course, nobody on the west side at the moment is able to do that, right? It's all been evacuated now. So let me see if I can just message him. But I'm just trying to find the image. I just wanted to show you what I saw, and also you know what Randy was just saying about the fire coming moving more south. I would agree that because this flare we saw was surprisingly not in the north. It was from our position from the house. It was almost. Let me just get the coordinates right. 1 second. It was west northwest. Yeah, so it was west. It was really much on the west side. So it means that the fire is coming from from the backside like that. Okay, not from the bed. So that's what scared us so much, and we thought, where did this come from now? And you have one strong gust in, and the fire is there, and there's nothing they can do. So that's what made us decide to go. Yeah. So let me see if I can find the picture. 1 sec, Mark.
So what Christian is describing is he saw that moment, which was clear to the naked eye. It was so startling that Rosanna, his wife, said, "We're going home tonight, cancel the plan for tomorrow morning." But it was short-lived, so they did end up staying the night. And Christian went out again with his camera last night, and though he couldn't see flames, he decided to do what's called a 30-second exposure. Christian's a master of light and optics. He's got his PhD in optics, I believe, and he has set the world record for an amateur astronomer by imaging the furthest object away from Earth with an amateur-sized telescope, and it was a quasar. So this man knows about light, and he's done incredible things with his photography as well, with the night sky. Not only bald eagles here on Earth, but with the night sky, he's done phenomenally interesting photography that's been featured in exhibits. In fact, a few years ago, he traveled to Singapore, where his work was being exhibited. National Geographic has featured his work, not only his night sky work, but his bald eagle photography and video as well. So, and if you want to follow him, he's at Sasse Photo, SASSE, just like his last name on the screen here, immediately followed by the word photo. So all one word, really, at Sasse Photo, PHOTO. So Christian, do you have that image that you did last night?
I do. 1 second. I'm going to just share with you now. Hopefully this works. Hopefully you can see this.
Yeah, we can.
So that's a 30-second exposure. When you look at that, from afar, you would just faintly make out that there is something. So it's nearly possible because there's so much smoke. But if you do a long-term exposure, you can see that that's dangerous, right? And that's the type of things I would be looking for, when you have to look through smoke. So that's a 30-second exposure. For those of you who know photography, it's 5,000 ISO, so fairly high sensitivity, but it tells you what's going on. And imagine the same thing now, just up on a hill that we saw, but in real brightness. Okay, so more or less the same effect, and properly light up like that, like trees could suddenly just light up, sort of nearly explode from internal, several trees. And that lasted a few minutes. By the time I fetched my equipment, it was gone. It was completely dark again, right? So that's what made us decide. Let me just see if I can get you one more. 1 second, Mark. Just wanted to see here. That's what it looked like this morning. So you can see how dim it was. It's almost depressing, right? That that's looking out to the north. Actually, that's looking out north. Yes.
So this is when you left to return to the Vancouver area, your primary home.
No, it's east. Sorry, east. What am I saying? Yeah, that's correct. That's us coming down. I just took a picture before we left. Right.
Right. So at least you can make out the water, because there have been times when you've not even been able to see the water from this close.
Yeah, but what was very interesting, I don't think I have all this on Twitter, unfortunately. This is not a very good one, but you can see that's looking south. You can't see it very well, but you can see how much smoke is developing, everywhere. It's getting very thick. Let's see if I got the Kelowna image here too. I'm not sure. No, I didn't publish it on Twitter. 1 second, I'll just stop sharing and I'll look for that one too. Just give me a moment.
So I tell you what, Christian, you go ahead and stop sharing, and I'll share something while you're looking for that.
Let me just find where the share button's gone to.
No, I think I've got it. So what I'll do
Can you stop sharing for me, please?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be able to take this over. Hang on. Let's take a look at what we have here. This is something that Christian shot a few days ago. 3 or 4 days ago now. And the benefit of this is he can see across the lake. So he's on the opposite side of the shore from where he lives. So he's looking towards this. You can see the community, much like Christian's own community. That's Killaby Beach, I believe, or Kilme Beach. That's correct. Area. Yes. And the fires, and you can see how tightly packed some of these homes are. This is very representative of Christian's neighborhood too. The benefit is the smoke was not very thick that day, and on this particular day, it just turned out that the aircraft were hitting this. When I say the aircraft, I mean specifically airplanes. And we profiled this on this channel. In fact, this is footage Christian has also shared now with CTV. This shows 5 or more planes, and the way they work is they work in a single file and in unison, and they all target the same target or ridge on the same drop. So they'll skim the water, and they have like a tank attached to the bottom of the plane. So they're still flying, and they're flying right over the lake so that they dip as they continue forward. They scoop up water, and then one after the other, they go for the exact same target. And this was something else to watch. Water drop after water drop after water drop. Now we're getting even closer. Christian took 2 cameras. He had his Sony, PXW-Z9 video camera, I believe, if I got the letters and numbers right, or Z. And he also had a Nikon DSLR that he was shooting with as well. And much of the day was like this. It was gray, but it was you could see. And then eventually in this video, we get to a point where we get towards sunset and things get very orange. And you can see an occasional hotspot here and there. Christian, I'm talking all about your footage. What would you like to say?
You're doing very well. Go on.
Yeah, so this is, once again, plane after plane hitting these same targets on their specific runs. So at least 5 drops in a row on a point. And we've got 2 or 3 videos now featuring this that incorporates this B-roll, if you will. And people are on YouTube, on this Beyond 90 Seconds channel, in the comments beneath these videos, there's been a lot of strong discussion, largely respectful, which is great. I really appreciate that, about the effectiveness of using these small planes versus larger tanker-type planes. And basically what I'm hearing on the argument that favors using these smaller aircraft is that they're very reliable, they don't break down, and they can get in and out more quickly and to maneuver into smaller areas. I don't know if that's the case, but it sounds logical to me. And then there are people, though, who seem angry that there aren't bigger planes on the fire. But Christian, to me, when I looked at your footage, I thought this is pretty effective. I'm not an expert on firefighting, but what was your takeaway?
Well, I thought they had it all, that was on Saturday, right? That's on That's on Saturday, and the way it was looking was that they were doing such effective synchronization here in formation, very impressive, coming in and out so quickly. And I thought this fire is going to be out in no time. So I'm really shocked to see, how difficult firefighting is. That's the shocking news for me. I had no idea. I thought, well, that's fine. They're going to get this. Give them another day and it's gone. But that's not the way it works. And now the temperatures have gone up. And I'm sure Randy can tell you a lot more about the relationship between temperature and fire, but that's very serious, right? So
yeah, Randy, any thoughts? You'll need to unmute if you're muted.
Yeah, so a couple of things today. I can again speak from my perspective is we had again this northeast wind, and assuming I was looking at Vernon's. Going back yesterday, Christian, when you were leaving, and I looked like there was maybe some northeast flow or northeast flow,
yes.
Which is coming. I know Vernon's probably technically the interior, but from our perspective down here, when we get this Fraser flow coming from, we use the Williams Lake Bellingham gradient. That's the pressure difference to know if how strong the northeast wind is going to be. And so when you have an east wind like this, you're going to have dry air, humidity and go down. And you're talking about red flag warnings and just tinderbox. It's already dry. And then you throw in this east wind and boom, you're going to have more issues potentially. So that's kind of what I was seeing today.
And Randy, can you talk a little bit what interests me very much about microclimate and wildfires? I know it's a very specialized field, but maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm the expert on why when it comes to wildfires.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm just really interested in this because it's so complicated. I know. So
well, yeah, I can talk to you about microclimates and temperatures in my area, but then when you start going outside, into like Vernon or into even a lot of the BC, it's out of my league.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And not my. I could talk to you about it here, but that's probably not going to interest you there.
It will.
Wildfire is not my expertise. I am learning about it a lot in the last couple of years.
But Randy, your area is not far from where Christian's primary home is in Surrey. You're not, relatively speaking.
No, I'm from Bellingham. We are 20 from the border. We are 15 minutes, and Bellingham another 20-30 minutes. So I'm sure we can. When the border opens, we can definitely meet. So.
Yeah, I'm actually would love to come up someday to your cottage and see if there's a way to shoot the Northern Lights up there.
Yes.
You're further north. I've captured the Northern Lights about 4 times here in the last 3 years from the border, right here, like a mile from the border, just north of me. But yeah, you from here, my house to your house is probably about 20 minutes, Christian.
You're most welcome. I mean, I'm I'm a hobby and also professional astronomer. So you're right on.
Well, I love photography, but I've seen your eagle shots, and I know you're a night guy, and I'm not a nighttime expert at all. But yeah, when this border
we can fix all that. That's not. It's not.
And you know what? If it wasn't for wildfires, if it wasn't for wildfire season, smoke season, we'd be talking about the Perseid meteor shower, right?
Absolutely. That was a year ago. Oh my goodness, exactly. So yeah, there's nothing to see now. Absolutely nothing. I'll share that one image. I found that quite interesting in Kelowna. I'll tell you something about this. 1 second. Let me try and share the screen again.
Mark, I got to run. I got to help my daughter here. She's
absolutely. You've been so generous with your time, Randy. Thank you so much.
And I'd love to be on again. Nice to meet you, Janine and Christian as well. Hopefully,
let's do this again. And I'm sorry I couldn't because it's just I was late. I know.
Work calls. Yeah,
it's okay.
Thanks for coming on with such late notice, and we thank you for sharing on the Whatcom County Weather Facebook page, and we thank those folks who checked out this live stream tonight.
Last thing I just want to say about Mark, he's been a friend of mine, and Mark actually came up and did a photo shoot with me a couple of years ago, and he was just a great guy. Appreciate all his work that he's doing with this, and so thanks so much, Mark, for having me.
You're very kind. Thank you, Randy. It's been my pleasure. Have a good evening. And my thanks to your family for you giving us your time.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Take care, my friend. All right, Christian, what do we have here?
Yeah, that was, so when you leave, that's of course looking still, well, fairly east now, as you can see. Early in the morning, when we got some petrol, some gas at a station in Kelowna, and that's looking towards the direction of the fire. And what was interesting is I was having the radio on at that time, and the commentator was looking out the window just as I was taking this photograph, and he was saying, you know what, we've got completely clear skies here, and there's just this dust up there, and for some reason we can't see the sky, the sun. It doesn't make sense at all. And I thought, hey, of course this makes sense, because to me, this makes complete sense. How can it be that we have no particles lower, but we get such a this very reddish sunrise, and that of course has to do with exactly what you're seeing here. These small particles are going into the higher atmosphere and causing very, very strong extinction of light. And as the light passes through all these very small particles, the blue light is scattered much more than the red light, the same reason why we have a sunset. And that's why you get this very reddish color. So it is indeed possible that you have completely clear conditions, on the ground, but way up, and that matters. It's only the line of sight to the sun that matters, right? That you get this very reddish color. Okay, so
well explained. Thank you, my friend. How many streams right now have the insights of someone with this kind of expertise on light and how it changes and affects what we see and how we perceive things at sunset? So that's great insight. Thank you very much, Christian.
Yeah, it's just quite a dramatic picture, I thought. If you look at the blue and everything and the colors, it's almost like a painting. It looks unreal. And I thought these arrows were also sort of almost symbolic. Where do we go from here? That's what I was thinking. That's maybe a little bit far.
I like the interpretation. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just stop the share. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Christian, is it just simply a case of hurry up and wait now in terms of, it's out of your control, isn't it? In terms of what goes on with your home over
I shouldn't say what I would like to do, because if my wife hears that, she'll go through the roof. Okay. So
go back.
I better watch out what I say. Yeah. What I'm very tempted to do is I may have an Airbnb somewhere right on the opposite side of La Casa. And what I would like to do, of course, is live stream. There are two reasons for live stream. The one is, of course, because it's relevant information. And the other one is there's so many people now that are worried about their homes, right?
Right.
And the only way you can convey that is in a live stream, really, because just like we are having a dialogue here, and we have a dialogue, and then people can come in and talk. And if I get a confirmation of that, I will probably drive very early in the morning, try and get to the other side, to that spot, and do a live stream to cover what is really going on live. That is what I would really like to do.
I understand and respect the passion. Just be safe out there if you make that trip again. I would also say this, we brought it up in a recent live stream where you were joining as a guest, and that is, you've been trying to go live when you've been out and about. You've encountered, and there are power outages in the area through all of this, and that might be the reason why, but you just haven't been able to get a good cell signal, and you don't have access to even Wi-Fi. So we'll put the shout out once again.
Please
if you're in that area, if you live in that area and you're in a safe place and you have Wi-Fi or a way for Christian to connect to a good internet signal, he'd love to be bringing reports live on YouTube, Facebook, elsewhere, so that people can, from far and near, can see what's going on. And having been a television news reporter, it's hard to put into words the impact that seeing one's home still standing or a bit distance away, or maybe even not far away from the burn area, from what's burning. People want the reassurance, and they feel like it can be as simple as making them feel included and not left feeling so alone. And that's what Christian can do. He can show homes. He can go even and check something out, as long as it's he's not going to cross fire lines or barriers or anything like that. But he has great equipment to include an 800 millimeter lens, which means he can get close-ups from a long ways away.
From a long way. I can. You saw that in the beginning of the clip where I showed La Casa. I can zoom in single houses from the other side, so you can almost see everything. It's quite remarkable. So
right,
that's that. A lot of people have asked me, can you please show me my home? And I always thought, gee, I need internet. I need, and I was going crazy because I couldn't get any signal.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep putting the word out. Hopefully, this can find somebody who is in a position to.
Thanks, Mark, for doing that.
Yeah, well, my pleasure. Anything else that we can find? Any closing thoughts? Anybody?
I would just like to hear what Jennifer had to say today. I know I don't want to repetition, but I'm just very curious because I know she was talking about cigarette butts and so on. So it was quite interesting. Huh?
In short, well, I won't speak for you, Janine. Go right ahead.
Yeah.
You're muted, Janine. You're muted.
I was mentioning about the meteor shower, and I wondered if you could do anything with that tonight, because I sure saw a lot from my house last night. I went out on my porch. I could see, it was one after another through the sky. It was beautiful.
I'm so envious.
Yeah, so I guess you can't see it from over there.
The problem, Janine, that we have now, and you don't have that on Vancouver Island yet, is the smoke came in so bad. I was going to go out to a house in Hot Springs. It's very dark there and it's very good skies. But when I was so disappointed when I drove back because I couldn't wait to get, I'm itching, get my equipment out. But the problem is the smoke's been coming so quickly in here that it's almost hopeless, unfortunately. So sorry.
Yeah, so it's always here. You're always welcome to come and to do it here. And there's also an eagle that's just down from my house, and you can see it. It has two trees, and it sits there and watches until it sees a fish, and it comes down, and there's people swimming, and there's Canada geese, and it comes down and it grabs. You can see it grabbing the fish out of the water, and then it goes to the other tree, and then it just goes back and forth. And it had a spat with a heron the other day, but I mean, there's some really good things to film over here. So
it's still there now, Janine. It's still there now, that eagle, right?
Yeah, it's been there for months. Yeah.
That surprises me because here almost all the nests are empty now because they've all migrated. Come August, there's nothing, and maybe Vancouver Island is a little bit behind. They migrate, but they do come back. They do come back end of September, beginning of October. That's the pattern we have here.
Yeah, I was watching them fairly recently, so I think they were still there a week or so ago. And then you can see the meteor shower from here. And the cigarette butt story, well, people are being careless, and I'm really worried about the locally, the parks and the forests over here.
Yeah. Thanks again, Janine, for going out there and shooting the two stories that you did shoot, the cigarette butt story, as well as the fire in the woods where there's been some drug activity next to a senior center. That was good. And hopefully, that struck a note with somebody today in a way that has a positive impact rather than a negative one. I'll tell you what, we can move into the post show. We can talk more about some of the bald eagles and wildlife attractions on Vancouver Island. Sounds like there's an open invitation there. Janine and Christian, if you don't mind sticking around for a bit for the post show, that'd be great. And all of you who are watching the live stream and catching the replay, thank you so much. This was really a wonderful opportunity to have this discussion. I'm truly thankful for all who participated. We had Randy Small on for the first time, and we had Janine on, and she's been on a few times, and she even went out and acted very much like a photo and video journalist today, and even did an interview that was greatly appreciated, all done today in the middle of her busy real estate work. And Christian's an astronomer and works for iTelescope, which is headquartered in Australia, and he had to take off for a work meeting online, and he came back just in time before we said goodbye so we could extend a bit. You guys, thank you. I know your time is precious and valuable, and you made time for this, and I want you to know I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
So we'll
you.
go ahead and we'll end the live stream on YouTube. Thank you for watching, everybody. Until next time, take care.